Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined by my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection, Mr. Dan Plan. Hello, Dan.
Hello. Good to be here again.
I'm excited for tonight because we have a very versatile racer joining us. It's Brad Miller. Hey, Brad.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Brad JJ Miller. What does the JJ stand for?
That goes back to when I first started racing, like 1987-ish, up at Plymouth. And Roger Miller was a track announcer up there, good friend of the family. And he always called me Jerry Jr. So then that got to be JJ, I guess. So, yeah.
Nice.
It seemed to stick.
Yeah. Did your dad race too?
He did. My dad raced for a short stint back in the 60s. He ran a sportsman car at Plymouth as well, and he drag raced up at WIR. And then he just became a car owner. They became a car owner in, 1974. They had a dirt late model at Hales Corners, and Mike Milius was the driver.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. So from there, he was car owner till, well, when they stopped racing, I think, Truck Series, I think 1997-ish. And then they were all done.
Your dad also was kind of intertwined with the Kulwicki deal too.
Yes. We raced USAC against Alan back in the late 70s, early 80s. And Alan at the time was driving for Rick Hanley. No, Rick Hanley's dad, Tom Hanley, I believe. And my kid just drove by on the four-wheeler waving. He's trying to just disturb me. Anyways, make a long story short, then I believe it was the Milwaukee Sentinel 200 at the Milwaukee Mile. 1982-ish. Our driver at the time in USAC was Dean Roper, and he was my hero. And he won the race, and Kulwicki finished third in our other car.
Wow. So you actually had the privilege, really, of growing up around a lot of racers that are well known.
I grew up around a lot of cool people. Especially in the USAC days, like the AJ Foyts and the Sal Tavellas and the Bob Brevacs and, Dean Roper, obviously, Jim Sauter when he drove for my dad. I mean, I've known Tim and Jay and Johnny since we were kids. So yeah, we got a long history.
That's cool. Did you always know that you were going to end up racing, or how did you end up getting behind the wheel eventually?
I always wanted to do it, and I just didn't. My dad was one of those old schoolers that's like, nope, he's not, doesn't have enough experience. You know what I mean? Because now you're getting kids in cars at 12, 13 years old. I was 18 years old. You couldn't race up here unless you were 18. So one of my friends had a street stock that he raced up at Plymouth, and his dad drove the car. Todd had a sportsman car. His dad had a hobby stock or street stock, and his dad had emphysema. So he couldn't do the quarter mile. So he wanted to do the half mile stuff up at Manitowoc back then. He says, you can have Brad drive at Plymouth and I'll drive it at Manitowoc because it's easier for me to keep my breath on the half mile, which I find hard to believe because that's a pucker factor on a half mile on a street stock. But
factor.
Yeah. So that's when I was 18. I just graduated high school and I started racing cars.
Awesome.
How did your dad go from, you said he started with owning a short track car. How did he go from USAC? I just mainly remember him having NASCAR equipment. How did he make that jump?
They made the jump. So they went dirt late model racing at Hales Corners, Shawano, De Pere, Cedarburg, from 74 to 78. Okay. Mike Milius drove the car till 1976, and then his dad got hurt in a farming accident, so Mike had to take care of the farm. So Robbie Reiser's dad, Johnny Reiser, drove for my dad for the next 2-3 years. And they had been partners with a guy by the name of Glenn Ehlers in a USAC car that was driven by Danny Weicker, and that was back in the 70s, and then Dean later on in the 70s. And they thought if they took this to the next level, Glenn always had big Dodge Magnums with Hemis in, and every racetrack they went to, they blew motors like crazy. And they thought, well, if we just started something else. So they built the chassis in the old shop that I used to work in. I believe it was whatever was out of California, Speedway Engineering, I believe it was. And they built it. They got a rolling chassis from them. They put the cage on it and did all the work themselves and went USAC Racing, called Ron down at Prototype Racing Engines and got a motor. and they went USAC racing all over the place. They used the same car to win races at the Springfield and DuQuoin Mile as they took to Texas and Daytona to super speedways with the same car.
Wow.
Nice.
That was what was cool about USAC and per se ARCA back in the day. ARCA and USAC were direct competitors, and we ran the USAC side of it, and the other guys ran the ARCA side of it.
So we talked at the top of the show about you being a versatile racer. You do dirt and asphalt, and you kind of are able to seamlessly switch back and forth. Do you prefer dirt over asphalt, or don't you really care as long as you get to go racing?
You know what? I really don't. I enjoy them both very much. It seems like I'm dirt racing more so these days. It's not easier to go dirt racing, but it is easier to go dirt racing because we don't get to the track till 5 o'clock. You get to the track at 5 o'clock, go to your driver's meeting, you're on the track. You don't have 2 hours of practice. You don't have sitting at the tire truck. You go to the racetrack, your tires are already mounted, cut, ground, everything ready to go. Excuse me. And it's no screwing around. You just go race and enjoy it and have a beer at the end of the night.
Nice. I can understand that and appreciate it as well too.
Well, and as I get a little bit older, it is a little more appreciative. I thought about the grind that everybody had to go through on Sunday. They're there practicing all day Saturday, and then they're there all day Sunday. But I was watching the race on Race Monitor. My wife and I were out to eat, and I seen that the race first got over about 7 o'clock. And I'm like, honey, if we would have went and watched that today, it would have been great. But man, if we wouldn't get home till 9:30, 10 o'clock, our whole Monday would be shot. That's the stuff I don't miss. That's tough. I mean, I'm going to be 55 next year, and it's I still enjoy what we do. I mean, the 8 races at Slinger is the perfect schedule. That we get to the track at 2:30 ish. We get on track and practice at 3:30. And the whole show's done with by 9:30 at night. So that one I can take.
How many times are you going to run your dirt car this year in addition to the 8 races with the pavement car?
I am going to run probably 75-80% of the Dirt King schedule this year. Last year, I missed only 1 race in the Dirt King schedule. This year, I'm going to miss a few more just because we have a grandson now. So we're going to spend a little more time, taking him to the closer tracks. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun for us to do that. So Plymouth has a 6-race schedule called the Super 6 Series. And we have our Midwest truck as well. We're probably going to run that. I would say probably half a dozen times this year.
That was my next question too.
Undefeated in that Super 6 Series, right?
Well, we had our first race Saturday and we had fast time and won the feature. So that worked out pretty well.
You mentioned your grandson. How old is he?
He is 2.
Oh, that's a fun age.
Oh my God, is he a blast? He's just a little ham. Oh my God, it's so much fun. Yeah. He goes to my mom's house every Thursday night and spends the day with my mom and dad on Friday. And Dad has a hard time going to work on Fridays, but he's at the house. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And this is my youngest right here. He's on 4-wheeling rider. Say hi.
Hi. I love that. Oh, that's awesome. Your mom, you mentioned her, Elaine. She is an amazing photographer. That's got to be kind of cool.
My mom is an amazing everything. Yeah. If my mom had an enemy in the world, I would really like to meet that person, to be honest with you. I really would, because she'll do anything for anybody. She's the most selfless woman on the face of the earth. I'm a very, very lucky man for the parents that I have. That's for sure.
Yeah, you do have cool parents.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
So talk a little bit. I see 15,000 trophies there behind you.
Oh, was I doing that to brag? Oh, sure.
You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. I think that's pretty incredible. But you've been racing for several decades.
So yeah, if you put a marker to it, I think it's like 35 years.
And you're still competitive.
Try to be. Yeah, we try to be. We getting our program a little bit better at Slinger. I'd struggled there for the last couple of years. All this new technology, you really have to be on top of it so much. Man, Toby will tell you right out. It's, you can't go to the track and just unload and be fast like you used to. You have to work on these cars a lot. Yeah. And that's kind of what's kind of veered me to the dirt side more, because you can make up for a car that's not 110%, on the dirt by changing your line or moving a groove or this or that, on asphalt. I mean, you have to be with the way the bump stop program is these days, you have to hit your marks every lap and the same marks, you know what I mean? Because there's a pothole here, there's a pothole there, the car won't turn right. And, it's difficult. It's difficult. And, but I'm trying very hard to adapt to it so we can go fast and slinger again. So.
I love that. You said cars. So what else have you raced?
Oh God. I have pretty much raced anything other than a sprint car.
Motorcycles?
When I was younger, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. 3-wheelers. Yeah. Not too smart.
Lawnmowers?
That I never got into. Half the lawnmowers we had didn't run, so we could never race them. My dad was always a rummager. He'd go driving down the road and he'd go look for the lawnmower sitting alongside the road, and then he'd Jew the guy down about $100, $200, and he likes that. It's just a game for him. So
now you have siblings, a sister, right?
I do. I have 2 sisters, Jody, who's 2 years younger than me, and my sister Heather, who is 5 years younger than me. And her son, my godson Sawyer, races dirt late models with me as well.
Oh, that's got to be cool.
It is. He started. Sawyer's, how old Sawyer? 23. He started 3 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a lot of fun because it's the whole gang's at the racetrack, and my wife's got my sister to drink wine with in the truck, so it works out great.
You really grew up, right? I mean, you were destined to be a racer just with the way you grew up.
Yeah, pretty much. Been going to the racetrack since I was knee high to a grasshopper. So it's and I lived what a lot of the kids don't realize these days is how people my age, we lived through some great racing times. I mean, seriously. When I was, in my teens, I would go to Slinger on Sunday nights, and believe it or not, I was a huge Robbie Reiser fan. So I went to go watch Robbie every Sunday night, and I was the front row cheering, screaming, and I'm like, someday I'm going to do this. And then when Robbie decided he was going south, I bought his whole program from him. So and that's what got me started racing at Slinger.
I actually somewhere still have a Robbie Fish or Robbie Reiser Bob Fish Pontiac.
Yep.
T-shirt somewhere around here. So yeah,
sure.
I was a Robbie fan back in the day when he was winning everything at Slinger.
Oh yeah. Yep. He won the championship there 91, 92, and 93. And then I bought his car to race in 94.
Wow.
We were both Bob Fish cars. I worked at Bob Fish. So I was there for 14 years.
And how long was it before you started working in your family enterprise here?
When I quit at Fish, I started working for Dad in 2002. And then I retired from Dad the first of 22. And my wife and I started this golf cart business that we're doing now.
I saw that on Facebook. What is that all about? You just like customizing them, or?
They come customized. They are some of the coolest carts on earth. They're icons from Tampa, Florida. And we got into it last year, the beginning of the year, and I had a goal of selling 50 carts, and we sold 116.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's quite the racket. It's a lot of campers. We have a lot of campgrounds in the area here. So the campers, first thing they do is they buy an electric golf cart, to go cruise around the campground. And we have Plymouth Rock, which is right across from Road America. They have 700 sites there. Can you imagine that? 700 sites in a campground. That's crazy. So, and I've sold quite a few there last year and already this year. So
that's a nice little business you got going then for yourself.
It's a great business. It is. It's fun. You know why I like it? It's just everybody that buys a golf cart's happy. Because they know what they're going to do. They're going to drink their beers and turn their sound systems on, and they're just going to cruise around the campground and enjoy it.
You are really living your best life. I mean, you got to grow up around racing, and now you're basically fulfilling a service for people who are either camping or even at the racetrack that need a golf cart.
Yep.
Stuff.
Todd Thalen's got himself a new one at Slinger Speedway as well.
Nice.
And it's purple with purple and white seats to match Slinger's colors.
Nice.
I love that.
And that's going to be, Todd and I worked out a deal that he's going to sell tickets to raffle that cart off at the end of the year.
That's a great deal.
Yeah. I came up with it when we were sitting at the auction where was the auction? Washington County Fair this year. And sitting there talking, I'm like, Phelan, this would be good. You could cruise around on this all summer long at the racetrack, sell raffle tickets. I says, you'll probably sell $20,000 worth of raffle tickets for the darn thing. I says, and then the end of the year, it goes away. Then you get yourself a new one for next year. Raffle that one off again.
You are a marketer, man, big time.
You got to do what you can do, right?
I see you're wearing your Weir's sweatshirt too, and I know that you've been very tightly aligned with Chad.
Oh, yeah. Chad and I have been besties for 20, 25 years. Yeah. He's a good man. I'm very proud of him.
Oh, yeah.
I stopped into Chad's place Friday, and the first thing on the showroom floor is all the Brad J.J. Mueller can coolers and hero cards and stuff. Right. First thing as you walk in the showroom.
Yep. That's pretty cool. Yeah, he has done so well for himself, and he's a very brilliant man, probably one of the smartest people I know, and I give him a lot of credit for. He struggled for a few years and he built it back up, and man, I couldn't be more proud of him.
He's a good guy too. Several years back, I lost my job, and I was kind of floundering trying to find a way to make income, and he actually gave me a job for a while to just kind of fill in. And
oh, cool.
And then I ended up getting back into radio. He was kind of encouraging me to do that too. So he's just a really
what were you doing, welding?
You know what? I've always wanted to weld. You say that, but I've always wanted to weld.
Really?
I did a live broadcast once at Mississippi Welder Supply, and they were teaching me how to weld. And the guy was like, "You're really good at that." And I'm like, I like this. I think that would be
cool.
fun. Yeah.
Now I'm curious if I should look through the Weir's catalog for a Jacqueline design part that's out there.
There probably is. So funny story. We were talking about that. So Chad and myself and our wives went to a concert down in Milwaukee last weekend. We went to see Shinedown, and we were talking about, I remember when Toby had this bucket for washing wheel bearings back in the day, and he invented it, and Chad sold it. And it was kind of cool. You just run a drill through the top, and it washed all your wheel bearings all in one shot, all 8 of your wheel bearings. It was pretty slick. And he said that him and Steve Backman were talking about bringing it back again, starting to take some of the old original WM number 1, number 2, and all the old stuff and bringing it back again, which would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, Tobe usually will have visions, and then sometimes that involves going down and sitting with Chad to try to put it together. It's a pretty cool setup to be able to have somebody like Chad around to be able to take ideas too and have them come to fruition. Yeah,
for sure.
Talk to us a little bit more about your racing plans then. I mean, what are some of the big marquee events that you're planning to run this year?
Well, on the asphalt side of it, we'll be doing obviously the 8 races at Slinger plus the Slinger Nationals. Definitely this fall, we're going to go to Rockford for the grand finale. Yeah, got to do that. I'm going to miss that place. Yeah. Truck wise, we'll probably run the Prelude to the Nationals again with the truck. And the Dixieland race. We always run pretty good at both of those places. And obviously we'll go to the Dells again for the I guess we'll get to go to the Icebreaker and the Halloween this year, because they're all both going to be within a month of each other.
Yep.
So we'll be doing both of those. And dirt wise, I'm going to run they got the Super 6 Series at Plymouth. So we have 6 races there. We have the Diamond 40. Oh God, what is it? Diamond 42, 43. It's a race in memory of Diamond Jim Letizia, a guy that was very near and dear to us that we raced with. And his son Turk and Tommy, they put a race on at 141. It pays like $4,500 to win this year. So that's a pretty crown jewel event for our dirt lay bottles up here. So
yeah. How about Oktoberfest? Are you coming to Fest at all?
You want to know the truth? The last time I raced there was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen you there for a while. Well, I've seen you there drinking.
I said the next time I go, they said the only thing I'm ever taking to lacrosse again is a cooler. Yeah.
I did see your dirt car at the Punky last year at Menominee, but
say goodbye to Ryder, guys.
You were driving.
Gilligan's out of here. Yes, I had my buddy Nick Panitsky drive it.
How did that come about? I know he broke his motor. Nick
and I are pretty good friends, and he had told me he was done for the year, broke his motor, and I'm like, I'm pretty much done for the year too. I says, if you want to run my car, you can run it. So I gave it to him, and I think he ran it twice up there.
That's cool.
They do have the USA Nationals has this fans fund deal where they give drivers money to come up. Should I throw your name in to see if, if they put you into the fans fund dash, would you come up for the USA Nationals at Cedar Lake?
That would be pretty cool. I've never been there. I have never been there in my life. So we've always, me and the guys were joking around a while ago, maybe talking about going up there, doing a 3-day weekend up north sometime.
That's a good one to bring a cooler to, the USA Nationals.
I've heard it's a great one to bring a cooler to.
Let's talk a little bit about some of those tracks that you haven't been to that maybe you'd like to. What are they, whether it's dirt or asphalt?
Well, I've always said when I was younger, I always said before I die, I want to race the World 100. Well, that ship has pretty much sailed, because unless you've got a lot of money and the best car and the best driver, you're not going to compete at the World 100. So that's changed quite a bit over the years. Dirt late model racing is so competitive these days. It's absolutely unreal. I mean, you can be just off just a tick and you're not making the show. If you look at some of these races, some of these B mains look like A mains, most of them actually, for that matter. I mean, there's a lot of good quality guys. So that ship has sailed. Someday I want to race at Winchester again and maybe Salem again. I like those places. I ran ARCA there back in the late 90s, and I think I would like to do that in a super late, but I don't know if I'm cut out to run 400 laps at Winchester anymore. Maybe if they had a 100 lapper, I might think about that, but so those are two tracks I would definitely like to hit again. As for I've pretty much hit everything I want to hit.
Cool. So we started talking earlier too about all the different cool people that you got to grow up around in racing. What were some of the most memorable either stories or lessons or funny things that had happened with some of these icons that we all know from the sport?
Oh, one of my favorite people growing up was Dwayne Sweeney. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dwayne Sweeney or not, but he was the flag man. He was the official starter everywhere. He was the starter of the Indy 500. And back when I was a kid, I used to race go-karts, and I raced against Cindy Peterson. And Cindy Peterson always beat us boys all the time back in the day. And that old man would just grind on me every time I would see him at a USAC race. The girl beat you again, I heard. God, it used to just grind on me. And then finally, once I beat her, and he was like, it's about time you beat her. You're coming around, he says. So he used to give me a lot of hard time. It was a lot of fun. Jim Sauter, when he drove for Dad, one of the most genuine men you'll ever meet. That guy was just awesome. True story. He was gone to Daytona with my dad, and I think I had just turned 16. They had left for Daytona, and he would always bring one of his hot rods down here and park it here when he left. So he had this El Camino with a big motor in it and a 4-speed. And I was out spinning tires and making black marks on the road with it one day, and I busted the transmission in it. And Dad called home, and I said, Dad, I broke the transmission in Jim's car. He's going to kill me. And I'm like, what should I do? And he goes, well, you better get off your ass and go find a transmission. So I searched everywhere for a freaking transmission for that thing, and I couldn't find one. And Jim got home, and he says, it's all right, we'll find one. He says, I probably got one at the junkyard, because that's when Jim had the junkyard up there in the Cedar. I think it was Nelson Auto Salvage. And Jim bailed me out of that one, but I never touched one of his vehicles again. Never.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're a card in your own right.
I'm something.
And how long have you and your wife been married now?
2 years. Cinco de Mayo was 2 years.
Oh my God. Y'all got married on Cinco de Mayo?
We did, in Key West. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, she definitely is a good supporter for you. I mean,
she loves racing. Yeah. She's 110% behind me. So everybody here is, my whole crew, everybody's 110% behind me. My family is, wife, kids. I think my grandkid will be too.
Yeah, I think so too. Who are some of the folks who are on your crew there that help make the magic happen?
Well, one guy just walked outside here because he's seen I was on live here, so I figured he's probably walking away. Mark Brass, he's been with me since, mid-90s. He's been helping me. Most of the guys that I have on my crew have been with me since, mid-90s, early 2000s. Have been with us forever. And we're all getting, we're all in our 50s now, and we still have fun. That's why I don't like we talked about going racing at the they're not Dells, I'm sorry, Madison on Sunday with the truck, but we didn't get a chance to practice on Saturday because we raced dirt, obviously. And I'm like, that ship has sailed. I says, I don't want to go there and chase my tail all day to, get the truck set up and dialed in to try and run that race. I just rather go there, be prepared, and have a chance to win. Those you can't get away with that anymore. Unfortunately, you have to, literally, like I say, you got to have your shit together when you get to the racetrack. Otherwise, everything's done in the shop. Everything's done in the shop. So, but Ross Rate's been with me forever. He used to pit for Tony Strupp. He used to race at Slinger back in the day himself in the Slinger Stinger division. Ron Ritker, who's been with me since Robbie left here. He was Robbie's tire guy when Robbie worked here, and Ronnie's been helping me since 1994. I've got Ryan Birnbaum. He used to work for me over at the Mueller Sales and Service here, and he's been with me probably a solid 10, 15 years. And I got a couple of guys that used to race also, Matt and Josh. They used to race around here. They've been helping me for quite a few years. Jim Rohrbeck, another good friend of mine, used to work for my dad. He's been helping me since mid to late 90s as well. So, and then we got the Barker crew. Just what a wonderful bunch. And Kevin Barker, who I race at Slinger for, he said, when you're done racing, I'm done too. He says, I don't ever want to hire another driver. He says, I would have a hard time with one of these young drivers. He says, at least we could communicate and, we can go out and have a drink together, go ride motorcycles together. We just do a lot of fun things together. And it's just, it's a great mesh. He's got a great bunch of guys, Eddie and Greg and Kevin, and just, we have a lot of fun together. My crew meshes with their crew perfectly. And, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. You are one of those great relationship builders. I mean, not only can you race, but you're a really great relationship builder, sponsorship kind of polar inner, I mean, you can build a relationship and get the sponsor together, but then you have the vision too, to create some really cool promotions. I mean, it sounds like you are like the whole package in that regard for.
Yeah. My wife we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. She goes, what I like about you is what's that? She goes, you just genuinely love people. I says, I do. I mean, I don't know what I would do. I mean, winter has become depressing when you can't see your racing friends every weekend. You know what I mean? I don't want to say depressing, but it's just not the same. The first time you go to the racetrack, I mean, Slinger being 30 degrees, I was still happy to see all my buddies. I got Ryan DeStefano on one side of me. I got Richie Locke on the next side of me. They're both great friends, and it's just great to see everybody again. So,
well, let's be truthful here, though. You snowmobile a lot, though, in the winter. And there's a lot of your cohorts that go out there, and you guys have the what do we call it? The Carnage Cruise.
Carnage Cruise, yep. Two guys that have been with me on every Carnage Cruise but one has been Jeff Storm and Rich Locke. Every year, I mean, it's been going now. I think the Carnage Cruise is officially old enough to drink. 21 years.
Wow, I didn't realize you all were doing it that long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we started it in 2002. It's so much fun. So much fun. We don't put on a lot of miles, but we have a lot of smiles.
Is that your slogan? That's a good one.
Yes. It's not about the miles. It's all about the smiles.
Oh, shoot. That's good stuff.
You know who even used to come along with us, but I think he got scared? Your buddy, Steve Rubek.
Oh.
Yep.
Was it because he drives the Arctic Cat, though, and he couldn't keep up?
Oh, he rides a Yamaha.
Oh, Yamaha now.
Yep, Yamaha. We always give him a hard time. I always talk to him usually every year beforehand. Are you coming this year? I don't know. I think Steve's more of a rider than a partier, so I think he likes to stay away from us. Which, congrats to him. He won at Rockford the other night. That was great to see.
Right? Oh, yeah. I was so happy to see that too, especially after losing his dad.
Yeah.
His dad, by the way, here for as long as we're just having a conversation about it, his dad was the Little League coach for my brothers. Because we grew up in Northern Illinois.
Sure.
So his dad was a really big father figure to my oldest brother, Jeff. He was a great guy. He just really plugged into the kids and helped them with life issues. I mean, he helped my brother with some car issues, and Denny was an amazing guy.
Yeah.
So I was so happy to see Rubek win that race.
Yep. Everybody loves Ruby. He's just one of those guys.
Yep, he really is. He's my longest standing friend that I still stay in touch with. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
We've known each other since kindergarten.
By the way, good interview with JFG.
Mm,
I just watched that before. Yep.
Jerry Guiley, what a guy, huh?
Yeah, he's a card. I love that guy.
Well, you know, that was part of the reason I wanted to get you on here too, because everybody knows Brad. Everybody knows Brad. So in that spirit, what is something that everybody who knows Brad that they wouldn't maybe know about you, or a story or something about you that maybe not everybody knows?
Well, we do have a motto. We might not win the race, but we won't lose the party.
I don't think you've ever lost a party.
That is for sure. That is for sure. I don't know. I mean, I put it all out there so everybody knows how I am.
You're an
So
open
I got
book.
nothing to hide.
That's funny.
Work hard, play hard.
Nice. So what was your very first race ever when you were 18? What was it that you ran?
It was a hobby stock at Plymouth on the dirt. I think it was probably May of 1987.
And how did you do? What happened?
You know, I don't remember how opening night went. I know I didn't win, but I won the next night.
Okay. Well, you won that soon out of the gate.
Did. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Won a heat race. And I could still remember sitting. I was afraid to get out of the car because the car would stall and the battery was dead and it wouldn't fire back up. So we had to push start it to get it going for the heat race. And I'm sitting in victory lane with the exhaust pointing out the door on the poor flag girl holding it. And you could just hear her like this with the exhaust pointing at her. And I'm shaking because I won. So the flag's shaking like this. And I'm like, oh God, is this almost over with? I got to get back to the pits and put a battery charger on this thing. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
What would you call your biggest win to date in your career? What was like the hallmark for you?
Honestly, every one of them is big. You know why? Because you never know when your last one is going to happen. You know, so you cherish everyone like it's your first. That's exactly the way I look at it. We've got a lot of wins at Slinger. We've won every race at Slinger we could ever win except for the Slinger Nationals. And I've finished second in that race multiple times. We've won 3 championships there. We've won 4 championships at Plymouth in the dirt late models. And I just nailed down my 24th feature win at Plymouth the other night. And I think we're probably in the 30s or 40s at Slinger, something like that. So we've never been a dominant race team, but you know, here's a perfect example. Like Dave Prunty made a good point at this year at the Hall of Fame banquet when he got inducted. And he said, you know, one guy I've always been envious of is Brad Mueller because he was my fiercest competitor. We were like this every week. And Dave was a great race car driver. And we were like this every week. But at the end of the night, Dave was ready, loaded up and going home. And I'm sitting down there having beers with all the fans and having a good time. He goes, I've always been envious of that guy and how he can do that, you know, and just that's what it's all about. It's all about making friendships and having a good time.
Yeah. You've run against some of your heroes, yes?
Have quite a few of them.
And have you ever finished ahead of them or beat them or won in the same race with them?
Yeah, I have.
Tell us a little bit about some of those stories.
I can't remember. I'm 54 years old. I don't remember anything. Rush Scheffler was one of them. He was that was Michelle's husband that passed away, and he was always the man to beat. I mean, he's probably one of the winningest dirt late model racers in the state of Wisconsin. And in 2011, I remember passing him on the last lap to win the feature on the high side. And the first guy over to my car was him congratulating me. And that just meant absolutely the world to me. That and my first year of Slinger, 1994, they had just repaved the racetrack. And it seemed like I find myself in the front 2 rows every week of the feature. And I led so many laps that year, and would always finish second or third. You know, I'd have, Conrad or Tony or Joel Loffer, one of those guys would end up passing me at the end, So finally, the last night, I won the last night of the feature, my rookie year at Slinger. And everybody came over and congratulated. Everybody in the field came over and congratulated me, which was so cool to me because I grew up watching these guys and just the respect. I was a very respectful young race car driver. I was, if I seen him coming, I got out of their way. I was I always use the Mark Martin theory. If it's not your day, get the hell out of the way. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to mirror drive somebody to, make them end up turning you around or wrecking you or whatever. If it's not your day, get the hell out of the way. Let the guy go by. Maybe he'll remember that.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always looked at it.
Man, you've got a lot of really great slogans, Brad.
I got more if you got time, though.
We got time. We'd love to hear it. Love to hear your ideas.
Here's a funny one. So back, one of the first years we went to the Redbud 400 down at Anderson, and we had on the bottom of my trailer. We didn't come to make friends. We brought our own, and we parked next to Glenn Galt, and Glenn Galt's from over on the East Coast, I believe, ish somewhere around there. Number 32 orange car, raced super lates for years. Just the nicest guy you've ever met. And Ross, I think you were along that time. Remember when we pitted next to Glenn Galt at Anderson? He could vouch for me. They wouldn't talk to us the whole day. And then the race was over, and all of a sudden the guys, hey, we were out having beers and celebrating, having a great time. He goes, well, you guys sure seem like a lot of fun. Yeah, we are, And he goes, man, you guys pulled in with that trailer. He said, we didn't know what to say, so we just kept our mouths shut all day. Yeah, those boys were in for a long night then.
Oh, shoot. So how many times have you won the, I don't know if you want to call it a race, because it really isn't, but how many times have you won the end of the night where you're the last people leaving the pits?
That Slinger, I'm going to say back in the day, Ross and I, we probably won it more than anybody. We were just talking about this story. Had to be 07, 06, 07. And we had fast time at Slinger. It was the Memorial weekend or Labor Day weekend. I forget. It was a 100-lapper. And we had fast time, and Wayne inverted 16 cars. I was furious. I was just furious. I run down to Wayne's office down there, and I says, what the hell? Are you out of your mind? Inverting 16 cars? He goes, what are you bitching about? You'll win it. I'm like, whatever. I says, we win this. We're coming down there to drink all your beer tonight. And then, we ended up winning it. So Ross and I how late did we make Wayne sit at the racetrack till like 5 a.m?
Yes, it was a very good time too, though. A lot of fun.
Yeah, we drank all his beer.
A good time was had by all.
Absolutely.
Fun stuff. I like how your logo there on his sweatshirt, the AC/DC Brad Miller Racing Enterprises.
Yeah, the last one said back on track. So like back in black.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know I was going to be on TV tonight, so I didn't.
Look good.
Don't get the
Weirzy hat. This is the world's famous Roscoe. Everybody in the asphalt world knows him.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, hello, Roscoe.
Hello, how you doing?
He's been my kingpin since, God, Moby Dick was a minnow. It was a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. You are hilarious. I look forward to drinking with you sometime.
Absolutely.
I just think that would be so much fun. That's sort of why I was hoping you'd come to Fest maybe again.
There's a good chance I might put Picker in my truck at Fest this year. Because he runs pretty good over there.
Yeah.
So I think I'll put him in for Fest if he's not dirt racing that weekend.
No, I think
he loves his dirt racing.
We had him on, and I think he said he was coming to Fest.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that is right. Because he ran the super late there last year for Andy Mankey. Yep, that's right. So yeah, we had talked about it last year, but there just wasn't enough time in a day to get everything assembled. So, and this time of year, I start getting really busy, so it's hard for me to race more than one night a week. So with the cart business stuff, it's taken off. I mean, I sold 4 of them last week. I got 2 sold this week already. And so I'm full service. I fix them, deliver them, do everything.
That's pretty cool. You got a website for all that?
Absolutely not. What do I want that aggravation for?
How do you promote? How can people learn more?
I have a Facebook page, BMRE Electric Carts Company. Yes. Hi, Jim. The whole gang's showing up now.
Look at that. You're just a star.
I don't know about that, but we have a lot of fun.
Well, Dan, do you have any other questions you want to ask?
You better start asking some, Dan. You've been pretty quiet.
I was thinking here that did you buy Reiser's car at the end of the year and go to Oktoberfest?
I did not. That was Art Hahn.
Okay, because I was remember
Robbie had two cars that year. So Robbie had three cars. He had left-hander number 60, which was a 1988 left-hander. That I'll tell you a story about that one here in a minute. And he had a Port City car, and he built a brand new Port City car that he was going to just play with. Well, he was down south. He'd come home, and his one of his main guys, Dave Ritker at the time, would take care of that car, and he would race that around here when he had time. So Art bought the Port City car. I bought the left-hander, and then Art went to Oktoberfest with it. And I think, did he leave the 71 on it?
No, I think it had, was it 80? 80. But I got a picture with half the body's missing. So I think he got into some sort of issue there. But
oh yeah,
just remember the car being down there and still being the same color. And
yeah, and then Rob had that Port City car that was just beautiful, that new one that he had built, and I bought that from him halfway through 1995, the following year, because he didn't have time to come home between him bush racing and doing the pier business as well. For Triton, he was too busy to be able to do any of that stuff. But anyways, what I was going to say is that car that I ran for Rookie of the Year with back in 1994, that Robbie won the championships with, I sold it to my cousin Jerry Miller, Mr. Excitement. He ran it at Lake Geneva for a bunch of years, won a bunch of races with it, and then put it out behind his shop. And probably, oh God, it's got to be, how long ago did Rob restore that car? 6-7 years ago. He restored the car to a T and then donated it to the Southeast Wisconsin Hall of Fame, where it sits today. He built the car complete, called Wagner for a motor, called Mike Feldner for a transmission, built it turnkey, scaled, full of fuel, ready to go on the racetrack.
And it has
then he donated
the Firebird body or Camaro body on it.
Yep, it's a Firebird body with Camaro rear quarters.
Yeah.
It was I can still remember coming to Slinger my first year. Bob Abbott's and Lumpy, they had a field day with me because I had Robbie Reiser's car. Oh, did I get picked on? Oh man, did I get picked on? Yeah, those were great times. I had a lot of fun there, man.
Yeah, you've made a lot of friends over the years, that's for sure.
Yeah, we sure have, without a doubt. It's been a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, Brad, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to come on the show. You've been...
Yeah, no problem. I just had to find the right time to do it. I was getting really busy when you had messaged me a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'll set a time aside. We'll get it handled. We'll get it done. This week will be perfect.
I appreciate you doing that. I think this is going to be a fun one for everybody to watch.
Cool.
Thanks so much. We appreciate you, and good luck this season.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you guys having me on.